Summer is almost here, and with summer comes new summer blockbusters. And a ton of kids that didn't have time to game during the school year now have time to game. And today we're going to be talking about popular upcoming releases, talking about whether or not they're Steam Deck compatible or not, or if the game will run well. To make a more concise list, I'm repealing my 1 game a day rule. Thankfully, this also cuts down on the number of shovelware titles I have to talk about. With this, I'll have a more concise list with more important and ultimately more interesting games and DLCs, some of which are in this video. But before that, if you like this video or any other video I make, please like, subscribe, and share with all of your friends. Spreading the good gospel of high-tech low-life lets the YouTube algorithm know that I'm doing well. As always, I may miss a few games here or there, whether they're shadow dropped or announced after this video is made. And that definitely happened with something like Hades too. So let's get to it. Call of Myth is a collectible card game based on the Cthulhu and other Lovecraftian mythos. So right out of the gate, I think this will run pretty well on Steam Deck, but the big question is, how will this game be monetized? That tends to be the big concern with many of these new PvP based card games. How much will it cost for you to build a deck of your desires? Or better yet, can you even do it for free? That is the big question. But until then, you'll need to wait for the game to release. Of course, the game releases on June the 1st. You know, I've never actually played the Elder Scrolls Online. And, you know, with most MMORPGs, if they make it past the first 2 years, then they're pretty successful. And this right here is the latest expansion to the Elder Scrolls Online, Gold Road. From what I've seen, the Elder Scrolls Online runs pretty well on Steam Deck. You could play the Elder Scrolls Online today, but Gold Road is set for release on June the 3rd. This next one's a bit of a sore spot for me. Destiny 2, The Final Shape. This is supposed to be the epic conclusion to the Light and Dark saga, and while it may not be the last Destiny expansion, it might be the last one I play. You get a brand new destination and a brand new subclass. But the big issue is that this stuff doesn't work on Steam Deck. Bungie refuses to make the game compatible with Steam Deck. A lot of developers seem to cite these so-called Linux cheaters. Where's the data? And what's stopping cheaters from making brand new accounts on Windows? It doesn't make any sense. All in all, it's sure to be a good expansion, but my issue is that it doesn't run on Steam Deck. The Final Shape is slated for release on June the 4th. Songs of Silence is a bit of a different take on the strategy game. On the onset, it kind of looks like a mix between RTSs, strategy RPGs, and card games, which is not a bad thing at all. It looks interesting and intriguing, and honestly, I want to give the game a shot. Now, typically, RTSs don't run that well on the Steam Deck, but it seems like the large-scale battles are more instanced as opposed to just happening across the entire map, so this may run better on the Steam Deck. This game is also slated for release on June the 4th. Also releasing on June the 4th is a game called Life by You. It's essentially a sort of life simulator, almost like The Sims. These sorts of games are kind of difficult to evaluate because, you know, at the end of the day, it really depends on what the player does. It's also developed by Paradox, so I'm sure it's going to be a good experience. But will it be a good experience on Steam Deck? I'm thinking no, because, you know, at the end of the day, these games are CPU intensive. The Steam Deck CPU really isn't that great, so I think this game will suffer the same way RTSs suffer on the Steam Deck. It's also worth mentioning that this is an early access, so this isn't the full game that's releasing. Maybe the game will run better than I expect, who knows. Rocksmith Plus is technically not a game, but rather a gamified learning tool. The idea is that Rocksmith Plus teaches you how to play the guitar and the keyboard, and honestly, I kind of already know how to do both. The main difficulty of learning how to play the guitar and piano is just letting your hands warm up and really get used to it. But hey, you can learn how to play songs from bands like Metallica, Green Day, Coldplay, and Billy Joel? Yeah, their description says Billy Joel right here. Whatever, dude. Will it run on Steam Deck? Probably. But do you have a phone? Then you should probably do one on your phone instead. Or if you're the type of person that can't learn on their own, then take actual guitar lessons. Also worth mentioning is that this is a subscription service, so you're not buying a game, you're subscribing to a service. Just remember this. Rocksmith Plus comes out on June the 6th. Dragon is Dead is an action roguelike, and it looks quite nice as well, and it looks fun as well, but you can't really judge these games by how it looks. You have to play it for yourself to see if it's any good. It looks like there's a variety of different characters and different skill trees as well, and I'm down for that. I'm down to try it out. Most action roguelikes I've tried on the Steam Deck work pretty well, and this should be no exception. This game releases in early access on June the 7th. Square Enix also released a massive bombshell on us. Basically, the entire Kingdom Hearts franchise is dropping on Steam. It's not just the Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 remaster, but also Kingdom Hearts 3 and Kingdom Hearts 2.8, which includes that 3DS title. There's going to be a lot of confusions as to which ones you should play. If you're new to the series, just play the games in the order that they were released, which I have listed right here. The only game that seems to be missing is Kingdom Hearts 358 over 2 days. That was basically turned into an HD cutscene compilation. Same thing with Kingdom Hearts Recoded, but rumor has it there may be a new way to play 350 over 2 days on your Steam Deck. The games do run on Steam Deck, and many have tried the Epic Games version on the Steam Deck, but the main issue was always the fact that, well, basically the FMV cutscenes didn't work. But with them coming to Steam, hopefully they should work. For those that love JRPGs, June the 14th is a day to watch out for, with 2 big releases, starting of course with Shin Megami Tensei 5, Vengeance. For the longest time, SMT 5 was Switch exclusive, and now it's not, and there's a new updated version coming out to PC as well. It's an updated version of Shin Megami Tensei 5. Still the same game as before, but with new enhancements, and now on PC, so there's a good chance that you've probably never played it. Given that this was in fact a Switch exclusive, I have no reason to believe this game wouldn't run well on Steam Deck. On the other side of the JRPG coin is Monster Hunter Stories. Unlike typical Monster Hunter games, instead of fighting monsters, you not only fight monsters, but you also raise them yourself. As someone that's played Monster Hunter, I will tell you I prefer the action-oriented Monster Hunter games as opposed to Monster Hunter Stories. That's just me though. Again, I have no reason to believe this won't run well on Steam Deck, and even so, this is a turn-based RPG, so performance shouldn't matter too much. If it doesn't run at 60, then run it at 30. Blood has you facing off against the vampire apocalypse. The game very much looks like that one animation from Adult Swim, Pibby or whatever. It's a 2D dungeon crawler, and honestly, I have no reason to believe this wouldn't run well on Steam Deck. It looks fun, but really I have to have it in my hands to see if it's any good. This game releases on June the 18th. Mushoku Tensei Jobless Reincarnation Quest of Memories is a dungeon crawler based on hit anime Mushoku Tensei Jobless Reincarnation. Not gonna lie to you, I actually haven't had time to watch this anime before. I hear it's actually really good, but that's besides the point. The point is that this game is a dungeon crawler, vaguely similar to something like Erdtree and Odyssey, but anyways, I digress. The game looks like it'll run pretty well on Steam Deck, and I mean, it's coming to Nintendo Switch, so we shouldn't be that surprised, right? Also, while this trailer is entirely in Japanese, Steam says that this will be coming in English as well. This tends to be the case for Japanese games that release in other Asian regions anyways. And this right here is the big DLC to rule them all. Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erdtree, an expansion so hyped and so massive that it forced Square Enix to push back the date of Final Fantasy XIV Dawn Trail. While it typically isn't advertised as such, Elden Ring really was a killer app for the Steam Deck. You mean to tell me that Elden Ring could be taken anywhere on the go? That's ludicrous, right? This is a brand new story in the Land of Shadows, which includes new weapons, armor, and all that cool stuff, and new bosses and mysteries to explore. Elden Ring ran pretty well on Steam Deck, so I have no reason to believe that Shadow of the Erdtree wouldn't make it not run as well. Shadow of the Erdtree releases on June the 20th, so mark your calendars, fellas. So this about covers all of the notable games with actual release dates. But if you look in the upcoming releases section of Steam, you'll see that there's a ton of games releasing sometime in Q2 of 2024. And of course, June is the last month of Q2, so basically if these games actually do release, they should be releasing sometime this month. Let's start with EvilVEvil. It's a co-op online shooter themed after vampires. You take control of various different vampires with different abilities, and you get different weapons too. I've actually covered this as part of my Next Fest coverage, and it's a pretty fun game, and it ran pretty well on Steam Deck, all things considered. But of course, as per usual, demos may not necessarily be representative of the final product, so this may change, but let's just assume that it won't change. Happy Saint SHEOL is a visual novel. It's got that sort of old school, early 2000s anime aesthetic, but this is not for the faint of heart, and at times it gets quite grotesque and scary. It's a visual novel. Do I really need to comment on how well it runs on Steam Deck? CyberCorp is a game that I've been trying to cover in one of these upcoming games videos, but for whatever reason it keeps getting delayed, and Well, there's no definitive date anymore. Anyways, CyberCorp is a top-down looter shooter. This looks like it's up my alley, and honestly, I want to give this game a fair shake. I suspect this game will run pretty well, especially towards the beginning and middle of the game, but once you hit endgame, I'm sure the game will start lagging up like crazy. But I could be wrong. Maybe the game will be well optimized. I hope the game's well optimized. CORPUS EDAX is a first-person brawler immersive sim. While a lot of immersive sims do have the option of going full melee, most immersive sims are gunplay focused. It's a full-fledged RPG where the main mechanics of fighting are hand-to-hand combat. Of course, like with most good immersive sims, there are ways to get out of combat encounters, but with a combat system this nice, I'm just itching to get into a fight. There's a demo on Steam that's available today, and I've tried it on the Steam Deck, and it runs pretty well. It doesn't run the best at certain times, but hopefully the game will run a little better. Mira and the Legend of the Djinns is a 2D action Metroidvania. I am curious to see how this one separates itself from other Metroidvanias, and I've played a lot of them, by the way. I will say the game does look fast and fluid, and if it runs well on Steam Deck, which I'm sure it will, it'll be a good fit for it. Demonschool is a new interesting take on the tactical RPG. It takes inspiration from, among other things, chess. Rather than having separate attack and movement actions, instead movement and attacking is one action. Move into an enemy. Depending on who you're controlling, it could do damage or it could debuff enemies. This is an interesting prospect because movement and positioning becomes far more important. Fans of RPGs of all different types are going to eat good this month. There is one massive tentpole this month: the DLC for Elden Ring. But outside of Elden Ring, there are some other big releases too, like Shin Megami Tensei 5 Vengeance, Monster Hunter Stories 2, the entire Kingdom Hearts franchise, and both the expansions for the Elder Scrolls Online and Destiny 2. RPGs are a great fit for the Steam Deck, outside of like MMORPGs that is. The ability for you to just pick up your Steam Deck, play your RPGs, whittle them down little by little, and then stop when you need to stop, and then pick it right back up where you left off is a godsend. So why don't you let me know what games you want me to cover on the Steam Deck to see if they work or not. Just let me know in the comments down below. If you like this video, please press the like button and check out our other videos. And if you like those other videos as well, be sure to press the subscribe button and share the good gospel of high-tech lowlife with your friends. Furthermore, we have a community Discord for enlightened individuals such as you. And if you wish to further support high-tech lowlife, be sure to check out our Patreon page. Links in the description.